What's going on, everybody? It's Ryan with On This Day in MMA, sitting here on a Friday afternoon. Hope you guys are all having a great Friday, getting ready for the weekend. Just sitting here taking lunch in the work van, trying to push through this Friday, and thinking about this great card coming up. UFC 295, Madison Square Garden, hallowed ground. All great, all the greats have all fought there. They have great fights, great MMA fights. Madison Square Garden is just the epicenter of fighting. It's just hallowed ground. It's great. It's huge, this fight that's happening in New York City, Madison Square Garden, UFC 295. Since the Miocic Jones fight has been called off, they've replaced that now, of course, everybody knows, with Aspinall and Pavlovich. That is the new co-main event, and I think it's overshadowed a little bit of the real main event there that's happening. Of course, with all the stuff back and forth and the things that happened with the injury, it's kind of overshadowed a little bit. But, dude, we have a badass main event here. Yuri Prohaska versus Alex Pereira. The main event, man, Yuri Prohaska's coming back off that shoulder injury. He's been out for a while. Dude, this thing ought to be a banger, for real. Like, man, really looking forward to this fight. These two guys, man, have great striking, unorthodox. They have kicks. They got, and the storyline to it. That's what not a lot of people are talking about, dude. This storyline. Alex Pereira was in the corner of Glover Teixeira when Yuri beat him. Okay, he beat his training partner, his mentor, like his trainer, like the guy that he lived with, I think, for a while, or still might live with. I think they live up north somewhere in like Vermont or someplace like that, I think, or Connecticut, I think it is, actually. He's got a house up in Connecticut, Glover Teixeira does. And I knew that this was probably going to happen back then when Yuri beat him and Pereira was there in the corner. I was like, yep, they're setting this up. Pereira was still fighting at 185 at the time, but you could just tell the storyline was there. The UFC, they're storytellers, right? They're money makers and they're storytellers, right? So that was already kind of in play that could happen, because there was already rumblings about Pereira moving up, right? Pereira moving up from 185 to 205, because that was just a brutal weight cut for that guy. Jesus, he probably walks around at about 225, 230, and he had to cut all the way down to 185. So I think 205 is definitely going to be a lot better for him, at least for the weight and cutting weight stuff. But Glover was there for a while. I don't think they wanted to have that issue come up if Glover was the champ. And then, a lot of those guys, man, out of respect for each other, the ones that are really tight and close, they're not going to fight each other. So I think that was probably an issue there. And once Glover moved on, boom, here we go. Pereira's going to move up, and he did. And so this fight ought to be really good, man. Really looking forward to this one. It's really hard to call this one. If I had to pick right now, I would probably lean towards Pereira, I think, just because of the activity, and I think he has a lot more punching power than Yuri does. I think if the fight goes into the championship rounds, I think it probably favors Yuri, I believe. If it goes early, I think that probably favors Pereira. So, really looking forward to that one. And then, of course, the co-main, the new fight, Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich. Man, those are two banger of fights right there. I think Tom is the favorite. I think in DraftKings, if you look on their website, I think he's a slight favorite. I believe that might change as it gets a little closer to fight night. It could even come up as even, or maybe a pick'em. I don't know. I think it's going to be a little closer. But that's another one I don't really know how to call, because both of these guys have ended fights early. Aspinall has the least fight time, I think, out of the whole entire UFC, and Pavlovich is second. Pavlovich has taken out his last 6 guys in the first round, all of them, KO'd all of them in the first round. So sometimes history shows when you got two killers like that come together, sometimes it's a little bit of a dud. But because they have so much respect for the other guy's power, they almost turn into like a counterpuncher type, you know? So they kind of like back off a little bit, waiting for the other guy to throw, and then they want to attack. Hard to say if that's going to happen with these two. I don't see it happening with these two because I just think these guys are just going to go in there and get after it. Haven't seen Pavlovich's, you know, his cardio though. You know, what that looks like in the later rounds. Because he's only been in the first round the last 6-7 fights, you know, so we don't know what his cardio looks like. So I think that would probably lean towards Aspinall a little bit. I think he might actually maybe try to use some of his wrestling as well. Maybe try to get an early takedown. Go for a submission. He has very good submissions, and he has a very good ground game. So I could see Aspinall maybe looking for a single or a double leg and trying to get that fight to the ground early. And, you know, maybe trying to get a submission or a TKO or something like that. So, but we'll see as it gets a little closer to the fight card what those odds are. And I think it's going to be pretty close. A pick'em fight, you know, maybe a slight favorite. It might lean the other way. Maybe a slight favorite for Pavlovich. But, you know, we'll see when it gets a little closer to the fight card. You guys have a good Friday afternoon, and we'll see you.